We love hip hop.
Former homicide detective is on Top 5's ass. All right, let me pull this up on the screen so y'all can see what I'm talking about. And there's been a few other people that's been on this nigga. Let me see if I have a post from him, because they had this nigga on CP24 yesterday reviewing the Leah May interview, which is crazy. Listen, a lot of people are going to say Top 5 bought this on himself. He should have came home and been a good boy. He talked a bunch of shit online, and listen, I'm not here to be a Top 5 defender, but he talked a bunch of shit online when he came home about the niggas in the West Coast. And yes, he did go at he did talk about smoking Sluggy in his live. So he did do the one smoking ops at home type thing. But other than that, it was a lot of, yo, Kendrick Lamar, we're looking for you, blah, 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 West Coast shit. And other than that, we ain't seen him. I had the phone call that was happening while we were doing the podcast the other day. The nigga's been sick. He's been at home. So as far as him just actively in the streets, he's back home. You know, he said he's Drake shooter, and now he's actively looking to go kill people. Like, that's a lot of entertainment bullshit. It's for show. The nigga's in his house chilling, pretty much getting ready to make his next move. Man made a tune. I heard it. I will say this. It's not a tune about peace, but I don't even know if that's going to be his next move. So this is courtesy of Keeps It Solid. It says former Toronto homicide detective Mark Mendelson speaks on Top 5's case. We saw what happened in the court with this particular gentleman when certain evidence was not allowed in. That doesn't mean at the end of that doesn't mean the end of the investigation at all. That means they're going to continue on, and if this happens to inject him, if he happens to inject himself into the investigation again, then so be it. And this is courtesy of CP24. So more than 2 weeks have passed since Hassan Ali has walked out of the Toronto courtroom free. A free man, and prosecutors decided to not move forward with the first-degree murder against the local rapper. 2 days after the charges were stayed, Ali, who goes by the name Top5, joined an online stream where he boasted about his time in jail. I had a knife in jail. I had cheeseburgers in jail. I had a phone in jail. Ali said, I went on to thank his correctional officer, saying, shout out to the CEOs who took care of me and gave me the phones. Yeah, that's crazy. In 2023, Ali used one of the cell phones to record a music video while in custody at the Maplehorse Correctional Facility in Milton, Ontario, claiming he paid someone $10,000 to get it. Ali was serving time at the facility, which he described as a 4 seasons in another interview, while awaiting the trial shooting death of Hashim Omar Hashi, RIP, the 20-year-old student who police said had no criminal ties. While the contraband was not uncommon behind bars, Ontario Solicitor General said that it launched a full investigation into the incident last June. More than a year later, the officers tell CTV News that the ministry does not comment. Does not comment on the internal investigation, but can confirm that the investigation he concluded and all the appropriate actions have been taken. Former homicide detective Mark Mendelson explains that while the routine of the ministry is not to divulge the outcome of the investigation, he says the system flaws to do so, particularly in the provincial systems, because how transient it is. Okay, people move from jail to jail, right? It happens through so many different modes of transportation into the system, from correctional officers at a particular jail to courthouses to security in the courthouses to private meetings within councils. Mendelson says, okay, so they're talking about just all the different ways that people can get contraband in. Not to forget, like, for people who are in minimum security and you can get touch visits, people's girls bring shit. Okay, but we're talking about max security. Since his release, Ali appeared on multiple platforms threatening to incite violence. However, the line is often blurred between what a rapper says being taken as fact versus artistic expression. Mendelsohn says, we saw what happened in the court with this particular gentleman where certain evidence was not allowed in. That doesn't mean the end of the investigation at all. That means that they're going to continue on, and if this man happens to inject himself back into the investigation again, then so be it. Although the charges against Ali were stayed, they can still be revived by the Crown at a later date. Meanwhile, Toronto police are not commenting on the investigation into Hashish's death as it remains ongoing. And I think that's pretty much the end of the article. So there's that going on as far as this former homicide detective saying that we're it doesn't mean that they're not still looking into his case. As people know, and we've covered extensively, Top 5's charges were stayed, which doesn't mean that the case was thrown out. Let me ask you guys a question in a poll. All right, let's do a quick poll here. Let's ask a quick poll. Will Toronto police re-arrest Top 5? Because they're trying to do all of this type of shit where they're looking at every single thing that he's been doing since he came home. They talked about a live stream and they talked about an interview. So as far as the live stream, obviously they're talking about the Aiden Ross and Academics live stream that happened when he first came home. But then as far as the interview literally just dropped. The one that they're talking about with Leah May. And like I said, they had it up on CP24. Let me see if any of these guys have it over here. Let's go to T.TV. T.TV usually has shit up. Let's go to T.TV. Because it was in the stories before, but I think it's gone now. What's this here? No throwbacks. I don't see throwbacks. But they posted a clip from the CP24 or on CP24, which for the people outside of Canada or outside of Toronto, that's our 24-hour news station that just has the ticker on the bottom, and they just have news stories that come up, and they had this interview here posted up.
You get me?
Why, you're tricking?
It ain't tricking if you got it. Fuck.
So are you a trick?
Right. So there's a CP24 post of Top 5's Leah May interview, which is crazy. That means, in my opinion, they're really watching him closely. But unless he does a new crime or he does something to implicate himself in the ongoing investigation that's been happening, there's not really much they can do. Right? I'm just going through YouTube just to do a quick search here. Let me show y'all something that they were talking about here too, because it seems that there's been some cracks in the system. They're saying, okay, well, he's doing all this shit, but then he got all this stuff in the jail. He had a cell phone. He filmed a music video. He had a little bit more than a cell phone.
Big picture. That laptop and that's with the portable in the band though. Big picture. That laptop.
The man had a laptop in there. Now, obviously, he has to take some accountability for wanting to have some of this stuff. But the ability to be able to have some of that stuff is crazy. HN says, everybody gets laptops. Are you sure? Because we're not talking about the pen. And even in the pen, I don't think people get laptops. Like, I haven't been in jail in a long time, thankfully. So I don't know how things have changed. But is it only his fault? Or is it some of this accountability has to be laid on the guardies? On the white shirt, who probably knows that this nigga had this shit. All right? It's wild because Cassius Mathis says cell phone cells and pads. This nigga had a charger with the shit. Not a charger. What do you call that? Actually, that is the charger, I think. Or is that an external hard drive? Yeah, I think he had an external hard drive. Or is that like a charger? Like, bruh. Is it on him or is it on the jails? He didn't go outside and go pick it up and go bring it in himself. So now when you got guys like this former homicide officer here saying all this stuff, it's like, bro, I'm not, y'all do your jobs. I'm not going to try to tell y'all how to do your jobs. But I think there might be a better place where these guys can put their resources. You know what I'm saying? Like, our city is going crazy right now. It's been going crazy. Henry King says that's a charger. The city's been going crazy from before Top 5 came home. Okay, so now that he's home, we can't go and look and say, well, look, see those people who got murdered over there? That was because of Top 5 being home. And look, those other people that got murked over there, that's because Top 5 was saying stuff on social media. What? Saying what? We looking for Kendrick Lamar? And it's crazy coming from me because I was the guy who was like, yo, or he told me, yo, I'm going to make peace when I come home, blah, 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 blah. And then he didn't, and I had my rant, and I still stand on that. But if this nigga's out here doing entertainment, I don't even need to put the quotations. If he's out here entertaining and, people are entertained by fuckery, and he started directing all of that fuckery to the people over there and down south, yes, I understand it's divisive. It might cause some issues for Toronto mans going over there and blah, blah, blah. That's a whole other point. Okay? But as far as turning it up over here and making it hotter for the blocks over here, and, he went on, this person's block, that person's block, I just don't see it. Like, mans went over to Alexander Park. We seen that when they first touched down. I'm not gonna okay that. Okay. But any types of shootings that have been going on, and I keep track of a lot of this stuff. I watch a lot of CP24. Has not been in Alexander Park. There wasn't a bunch of shootings that happened right after. And we're gonna go into a story in a minute where somebody who's completely on the opposite vibe of Top 5 did the exact same shit. So what are we gonna do over here in Toronto? Is it about all these guys trying to get some kind of notoriety, or are we going to be like, you know what? Don't entertain us, or you can do this, but you can't.
We love hip hop.